All right, good morning. We're going to talk today about overlapping fields of sensation during meditation. Overlapping fields of sensation. First, time to get to a barber, isn't it? I don't need it to be shorter, but I don't like these gets fluffy on the side here. So my barber does takes all this down, gets it down to a nice bald, so I don't have this scrappy looking thing, and then he blends it in nice. Maybe I'll go this weekend. So here's what I'm thinking about today with my meditation practice, and talk you through here and see if it resonates with anything that you're experiencing, or any questions you have, or any conversations that we can pick up. So I'm still spending a lot of time with the Sam Harris Waking Up app, and finding a lot of useful direction and guidance from the courses, the selections on that app. Particularly the directions that Sam Harris gives around consideration of the impermanence of the self, and what does that really mean? Those kinds of statements are difficult to get my head around because I do have a self. I can sort of recognize with not a lot of difficulty that the self I have today is clearly different from the self I had 30 years ago when I was in college. It's clearly different from the self I had 8 hours ago when I was meditating, because right now I'm kind of in the middle of my work day, and I have a very different self. It's easy to see the differences. So there's obviously not a single self. But there are parts of the sort of arising of thoughts and emotions that are really difficult to let go of. A big part of my meditation practice right now is interrogation and questioning. It's observation and interrogation of the experience, which is different from concentration. It's different from saying I'm going to focus on my breath 100% and experience that. It's also a bit different from just letting everything happen, right? It's sort of getting into that open state of mind, but scrutinizing the experiences and really asking where is the voice that tells me that I am having this thought. That's sort of the wall that I'm coming up against right now. I can see my thoughts as objects. I can experience them as things that arise. But if I'm honest with myself, I'm still pretty convinced that there is a person that is having those thoughts. Even though that doesn't survive scrutiny. So that's the question that I'm working on, and here's where I'm at right now. There's two different sets of sensations that have sort of become apparent or become available to me to articulate, and I'm now thinking, as I process this, how they overlap. And the first is what I talked about last time, which is the transparency of the breath experience. And that is that, you can go back and listen to the previous video, but the idea that when I focused on my breath, I become aware of the breath in and out, usually in my belly and the noise in my nose. That's sort of the points I reference. And I become aware of within that sort of first phase of breathing. There's a point where I've breathed all the way out, and there's kind of a jigger, a jiggle at the bottom of the breath where I'm not entirely clear what is happening. I'm not breathing. I'm not breathing. And I find that if I can maintain stability through that jiggle, the jigger of something, I become more aware of the physical up and down that goes along with my breath, because as my lungs move, my body moves. My shoulders move up, my chest moves up. There's a sense that the breath instigates this broader physical movement, sort of up and down. And that is just a fraction delayed, right? The body is just a moment behind the breath. And then I'm aware that the body extends, particularly if I'm practicing with my eyes closed, but also true if I have the visual input as well. That there's this sense of something settling around my body that isn't the physical part. Maybe it's some more subtle physical sensation that I'm not normally aware of. Maybe it's an aura, maybe it's energy, whatever frame makes sense. The experience is that as my body settles, there's sort of waves around it that also settle. And those extend out quite, there is no perceivable end to those. It's like a sound has a perceived end when you can't hear it anymore, but where is that line? It's the same with the breath out. Where is the end of the breath out? So then, and again, I'm recapitulating what I talked about last week. Then I realized that I've actually got it backwards, and that this sort of broader in and out is causing my in-breath and out-breath, and I can see my in-breath and out-breath as the tip of a wave. And that experience has become quite clear as I've spent more time sitting and really disciplined concentration on the breath. As my distraction fades, as I become more focused, I'm very aware of the shift in perspective that says my breath, my physical breath, is the end result of a larger motion that is not my breath. And so my current understanding is that is base consciousness. Now I'm totally aware that it's not base consciousness, because I'm still struggling with ideas of observer and witness. And what it really feels like is just a bigger sense of my own experience. But my hypothesis is that as I continue to settle in, this may be a way to break that sense, to be able to scrutinize it from a different perspective of undistracted consciousness. So that's one set of field experiences. The other is directly from guidance that Sam Harris gives, which is he'll often have you start the meditation with your eyes closed and just experience the body not as a body, but as a set of sensations. So really note what you're experiencing. Are you experiencing the hands, the weight of the hands together? Are you experiencing tension? I experience tension in my knee all the time, tension in my shoulders. Am I experiencing warmth, pressure? That is the reality of my physical field. It's the sense of sensations, not here are my hands, because what I can really say is here's the feeling of pressure of my hands. The idea of hand is a label applied to that sensation. And I know when Sam and I first started doing this app together, and I do feel very personally connected to him, I thought, well, that's kind of That's a cheap trick. I know where my hands are. I know what hands are. But the more I sat and really just paid attention to what are the sensations that form my sense of physical being right now, they aren't hands or head or whatever. They are pressure there and weight here. And so then the direction is, well, where's the part that knows what the back of your head feels like against a wall, or your back feels against a chair, because it isn't in front of your face, which is kind of where I know I do feel my sense of self concentrates behind, in space here. If someone said, "Where are you?" my instinct would be to say, "I'm here," but my butt isn't here, and I can feel my butt. And again, these seem like cheap tricks, but they're not. They're just really apparent. So then, okay, so we kind of start to wrap things up here. So this is a second field that is really what the experience of being a body is when I'm not distracted, when I'm paying attention. Weight, pressure, tingling, pain, thoughts even, right? Right? And then overlay that with whatever that sense is of what's causing the breath. And I think that when those two experiences connect somehow, my meditation experience will shift. And it can't be forced. Because I'm not changing state. I'm not doing anything. I'm observing. And I'm observing through my preconceived ideas and my filters and my problems and my expectations and my desires and my fears and all of that. But as those subside, which they do as I concentrate on the breath and as I note really what it is that I'm feeling. Is it a body sensation? Is it a thought? Is it an emotion? Is it my breath? Those two broad fields of experience, when overlapped, I think, I think that's the next step. And then from there, I'll see what comes next. So anyway, as always, my friends, keep your wits about you. Let me know if you have questions in the comments. Subscribe, share, etc. This is an important project for me, and I hope for an increasing number of you all. So